Hey, what's up guys? Tony here from Boosted Aspirations. We're going to be talking about the big turbo in my car and what's been going on for the last couple of weeks, but I kind of wanted to preface this a little bit because obviously I'm showing you some Gran Turismo Sport footage. An avid gamer, O'Brien and I are. I bought Gran Turismo Sport and I saw there was a Focus ST, so I was like, this would be a great backdrop, because what I didn't really want to do is set the camera up and just talk to the camera and have it kind of be a rather boring video. So at least this gives you something kind of fun to look at while I talk about the big turbo project as it sits right now. So basically, you guys saw in our part 3, we got everything put together and don't have any coolant leaks, don't have any oil leaks. That night I drove it home, babied it home like I mentioned in the video. The 8 West, for whatever reason, was closed down, so what would have been about a 15-minute drive ended up being about a 35+ minute drive home, because I'd take surface streets everywhere. It was good because it was a pretty solid test drive for me in the car, and every now and again I'd kind of get into it just a little bit and just kind of test it out, but I really didn't put my foot into it at all. But basically that kind of ensured that I know that we don't have any coolant issues. I know we don't have any oil issues. So that was sort of fortuitous, I guess. What I will say right off the bat is that I did notice, obviously there's gonna be a little bit of lag. I mean, it's a bigger turbo by comparison to the stock turbo, but it wasn't so big that it hindered the drivability of the car. That was kind of my concern from the get-go, is that I didn't really want to ruin the fun aspects of the car, because the car, stock turbo gets up and goes pretty quickly, power on demand. It doesn't have the top end potential that I know a lot of people are wanting, but from a daily driver standpoint, my concern was if I put a big turbo on there, then the bottom end's going to be gone and it's just going to be a dog to drive until you built up to boost. And so far, my experience, I've got less torque than I did, which is understandable, but it's not to the point where I hate it. I hate driving the car on the streets. I feel the car is spooled about 2,500 RPMs or so. That's kind of where I feel I've got power. Below that, no, not so much. It's not as on tap as the stock turbo, but whatever. It's not bad at all. So anyways, let's see here, that we finished that up. And I believe it was the Sunday after that. I had to do some driving around, and I was going to data log and get that to Brian. So my tuner is Brian over at JST. He's the guy I bought the turbo kit from, and so he's got bought Pro Tunes with him. So I'm going to be doing a 91 tune and an E30 tune eventually. As soon as we get the 91 tune done, we can go ahead and start an E30. So power goals we're looking at somewhere. I'm pretty conservative myself. I don't really want to go to the extreme just yet, because I've had the car for 2 years, a little over 2 years now, and so still got another 4 years to pay it off. So I don't feel like blowing the car up, not even halfway through my loan. So realistically, I'm looking at, if I do like 325 horsepower to the wheels, I think that would be pretty sweet. It doesn't sound like a ton. When you've got some guys who are making 300 horsepower on their stock turbo. So for me, it's pretty conservative. My understanding during my research is that the stock fuel system pretty much maxes out at about 400, from what I'm told, 400 crank horsepower. So you're looking around the 350 range. So who knows? I'm saying 325 now, but who knows? I could push it to 350-ish in the future, and then go for the auxiliary fuel system, who knows, and keep pushing it. So I think a lot of it just has to do with how safe the tunes are and how safe I feel the car is, and if I get to a point where I want to push it. Unfortunately, we do have a little bit of trouble right now. So the Sunday that I went and I drove it around, actually, so I live in San Diego. I drove up to North County. I was driving all over Oceanside. I had some family business that I had to attend to. And so I think I did about 2 logs, if I remember correctly. One I scrapped because it was kind of an uphill incline, very slight, but I kind of threw the numbers and I wanted to make sure to find a flat surface. So I went to go do a brand new set of data logs, and I was on Oceanside Boulevard heading west, Oceanside Boulevard and College, around that area, Oceanside Boulevard and College. So I was heading west on Oceanside Boulevard, and I put my foot into it, and I was like, the car's not going anywhere. What the hell? And I looked at my AP, and it was showing me 2 pounds of boost. I'm like, oh my God, I have a freaking boost leak already. And up to that point, I was getting 10 pounds, no problem. Again, like I drove the car sort of very lightly, didn't really put my foot into it, just a couple times. And I'd get, 10 pounds, 10 point whatever pounds, and that's what the stock tune was supposed to be doing. And so whatever. So I was like, oh my God, I've got 2 pounds boost. What the hell's going on? And it was over by the newer, it's newer for me at least. I grew up in Oceanside, so it's like all new now. But the industrial park area right off of Rancho de Oro. And so pulled up over there, parked it, and was revving the motor, blow-off valve wasn't going off. Drove the car, kind of put it in second gear, kind of floored it, listening for any boost leaks. And I couldn't hear anything at all. And I was like, what the hell's going on? Obviously, when you get a boost leak, the first thing you're thinking of is, charge pipes, couplers, and especially now we're doing this, we're like, what did we miss? What could possibly be missed? So I parked the car, jumped underneath it, used a flashlight, looked at the charge pipes, cursor checkable charge pipes, check my CPE, the exhale kit just in case. Because O'Brien and I noticed it, he noticed it first on his CPE kit. The charge pipe is actually rubbing against, I believe it's the air conditioning compressor, and it's starting to wear on the metal. And so eventually that's going to wear a hole in it. So he's looking at ways of sort of patching it, or maybe putting something on there to sort of keep it from moving so much and vibrating and rubbing and causing that eventual hole that it's going to do. Mine's starting to do something very similar. So I was like, for me, it was kind of a very far-fetched to think that would have cut a hole in it in such a short amount of time, because it's basically just scratches on the pipe right now. Anyways, because the car was hot, I really couldn't go back and touch the turbo, but I looked at the vacuum fittings. I could feel around for the vacuum fittings. Those were all secure. The charge pipe, from what I could see on the turbo, was secure. The charge pipes were obviously secure on the intercooler, and really no signs of any boost leak. So I was really perplexed. And after about, 30, 45 minutes or so of me looking around, trying to figure out what it was, revving the car up, generally being a nuisance because that car is way louder now. It's so much louder, it's ridiculous. I couldn't find the boost leak, so I just said, fuck it, I'm gonna take it home and I'll figure it out. So first thing I did was I contacted Brian, and I was like, hey dude, I'm getting like 2 pounds of boost, like 1.5 to 2.5 pounds of boost. It's ridiculous. I don't know what's going on. And he basically had kind of a funny response, and he said, well, welcome to the club. You're going to be blowing off charge pipes all the time now. And I was like, okay, well, I don't hear anything, but I've had a big turbo for like 4 days at this point, so I'm like, okay, I'll bite. It probably is a charge pipe. It's just weird that I don't hear anything, because I've had 2 boost leaks before, and I know what a boost leak sounds like, and I know when I have one, and this just doesn't feel like it. I did have this idea in my head that it could be the wastegate, because that's one thing that we actually didn't show when we were filming, but it was something that's one of the things we had manipulated. So I was kind of going back and doing a checklist in my head, like, what did we touch? Let me go back and check those things we touched, because everything else was good before we took the turbo off. So those are going to be the first things I'm looking at. So obviously the hot side charge pipe, the vacuum fittings, the wastegate, we adjusted that per the instructions you do. And so Brian was pretty sure. He's like, yeah, it's going to be I'm like 99% sure it's going to be a boost leak. I'm like, okay, cool. So I pretty much didn't do much for that next week. I just drove it very sparingly. There's nothing wrong with it. There's no negative corrections. There's nothing that looks like there's a real big problem. It's just my boost is going somewhere else. And so this last week I talked to Brian again. I saw he posted some pictures of a new turbo he's putting into his car, into the Time Attack Focus, and I saw pictures of the wastegate. And we'd asked him a couple times when we were putting the turbo on, like, what should the wastegate actuator, when you adjusted and tightened it down, what should it look like? So what he had pictures of, he sent me a before and after. He's like, here's what it should look like before, here's what it should look like after. And I said, honestly, I think we messed that up. I think we screwed up big time. And he said, well, which way did you tighten? And I said, well, we tightened it to the direction he said, towards the actuator. But I think what we misunderstood, and this is what I'm pretty sure we're going to find when we finally get the car back on a lift, is that we actually did it the other way. So we did it towards the actual port. So basically what it sounds like, and through talking with Brian, it sounds like what we have right now is because the factory wastegate spring is set at 12 pounds, they should be getting at minimum a 12 pounds of boost, even if, you know, for whatever reason, there's something wrong with the car. It's like, hey, look, you should get at least 12 pounds boost. So we're thinking right now that all that boosted air is just going right out the exhaust. That's kind of where we're at right now. Cobb does have this boost leak sort of protocol, things you should do, like reset the ECU, because you can fall in limp mode, but my car doesn't have any code, so I don't really think that my car is in limp mode at all. But there are a couple of processes that I'm going to do. You know, I reflashed the ECU, put the new tune, or put a tune back on. Brian gave me another tune to try, so I put that one on. That's what I'm running now. It's like version 2. He made some tweaks based upon the data logs that I did send him, and then the data log that I sent him when it only showed like 2 pounds boost. So we're on the version 2.0 tune. Problem still persists. I drove it just yesterday, and it was really weird because it got 5 pounds, and the car felt so alive during that brief moment where it got 5 pounds, and then it just would only do 2 pounds after that. So right now I'm just kind of thinking that right now it's the wastegate actuator, and we just screwed it up. So the plan is right now, I don't know if it's gonna be this weekend or maybe next weekend or whenever the hell we're gonna get around to it, because we got some busy lives going on right now. As of yesterday, O'Brien got married, so congratulations to him, and he's gonna be going off on his honeymoon rather shortly. So we don't have a lot of time to get in there and make some videos about this, but we definitely want to get this thing squared away so we can get it on the road, driving the way it should be, and headache free. So I think if we wouldn't have adjusted the wastegate, I'm pretty sure we would be not having a single problem right now. So that's kind of where we're at right now. Unfortunately, it's just kind of us. We made a bit of a mistake, or me, because I was the one adjusting the actuator itself, the wastegate. So I made a mistake in understanding the directions that Brian was saying. So, you know, seeing the photos was clear as day. So right now, that's what's going on. I know I've had some people asking about the big turbo. It's like, hey, what happened to it? What's the status? I'm really eager to find out what the status is. So unfortunately, you know, we just keep hitting these setbacks. And so this is going to be hopefully a very quick fix. I'm really crossing my fingers that that's it, because I can't find, for the life of me, I can't seem to find where we would have, you know, 8 pounds of boost just flying out of the car somewhere where I'm not hearing it. I can't hear it at all. There's no boost leak. So I'm sort of come to the terms that I think this is going to be it. So that's going to work on now. So hopefully we'll update you guys in the future, so you guys know what's going on. So anyways, guys, really appreciate you guys for watching. Really appreciate you guys for watching the series and being invested. You know, it does mean a lot to us. So as always, guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing, and we shall talk to you guys later. Oh, and invisible finger guns, since you guys since there's nothing there to see.